Teardrop is a series I have been thinking about for several years, and I'm very excited to finally be able to share it with my readers. It started because I was living in Northern California, and our local lake was a former valley that had a town in the bottom of it that had been flooded out to create this lake. And I started thinking about that vanished town. These watery kind of ghosts began to haunt me. I started reading flood narratives to try to figure out what happens when a civilization is lost under the water, what remains down under there, what's washed away, and can love survive in the new world after that flood. I was really drawn to Plato's Atlantis. I was drawn to Noah's Ark. I was drawn to the Epic of Gilgamesh. There are all of these flood narratives. Every culture has one. Atlantis stood out to me because it felt so magical. It's kind of the grandmother of all civilization. And it has remained mythical, too. No one's been able to find it for the past 4,000 years. Yet it haunts all of us, and we're all fascinated with this idea of a really advanced civilization that's disappeared. But for a long time, I couldn't figure out, I knew I wanted to write about Atlantis, but I couldn't figure out what the way into the story was. I was waiting for that character's voice to find me. And one day I was crying, doesn't matter about what, but I was talking to my husband, and I couldn't make him understand how I was feeling. And at a certain point in the conversation, the words failed us. And he reached out and he put his finger into the corner of my eye and touched the teardrop that was about to fall. And he captured it on his finger, and he carried it to his eye, and he put it into the corner of his eye and blinked and absorbed my tear. And it was this wordless expression of connectivity that I don't think he ever could have spoken. But it was a beautiful gesture of love to me. It made me feel so much less alone. And I realized then that was the beginning of this love story that I'd been waiting to tell. And that was the connection to this flooded, lost world. So I found this girl, Eureka Boudreau, who has immensely powerful tears. Her tears have the power to change the world, to flood the world, to start a new world. And it all begins with love.